day, good evening, everybody. It is Saturday, June 18th, and you know what that means. It is time for the High Risk Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, still the undisputed champion, Jeremy Pearson. Yeah, we back, and what a week, man. God, if you don't know, I am going to enlighten you and take you to a higher plane of existence. But first things first, as always, you can catch me on the socials, Charismatic Creations on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube. Don't forget to check out Charismatic Cards on YouTube, and as always, Charismatic_Creations 52 on Instagram, the 215 on Twitter. Previously, we started our Faction Warfare series, and today, well, we were supposed to do transitional champions, taking a look at the importance of them, why they are needed, and hell, some of the best transitional champions. But after the bombshell of this week, actually a few bombshells, we're going to take a look at the top stories so far this year. Major stories. This won't be fun. All right, I'm going to try to make it fun, but this won't be fun. Yeah, we're going to get into it today, but for now, you know what's next, so just go on and hit my music. Now, as you all know, we have had a plethora of releases over the last 3 years. And one of the major ones was the release of Bray Wyatt. And now we've got a little bit more insight on why he actually was released. Essentially, they say that his character, whether it was Bray, whether it was The Fiend, killed other characters, killed other people, that once you started feuding with him, you weren't coming out better on the end. You weren't coming out on top. Even though Bray and The Fiend lost a lot of feuds, he was always still over. And there's other things that they were saying, that the push was going to his head and he thought he was a modern day Taker. But the difference between he and Taker is that Taker could get everybody over. But hey, that also doesn't take into account his health issues. He was getting paid $4 million a year and was uncommunicative and uncooperative with there to be regarding his health issues. So that's what we got on Bray. Some good news: Extreme Rules will be coming back to the home, to the land, to the birthplace of Extreme. That's right, Extreme Rules is coming back to Philadelphia, and of course I'll be there. Of course I'll be there myself, along with the others. I am so happy. The last time they were in Philadelphia was the 2019 pay-per-view, which I didn't go to. Fun fact, the last pay-per-view before the pandemic started was in Philadelphia. It was the Elimination Chamber event. I'm ecstatic. I'll be there. Tickets will be going on sale. They'll be in Philadelphia October 8th. Is that a Saturday or a Sunday? That is a Saturday. Ooh, I can't wait for that. Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so ecstatic for that. There's some sad news, which we'll cover later with the main story. Jeff Hardy has been arrested for a DUI. This is his third DUI in the state of Florida. And he has been suspended without pay by AEW. But we'll dive into this more as once we get further into the show. All right. WWE may be considering a title change due to Roman Reigns' lighter schedule. So, yeah, they wanted him to win the championship just to get him on both Raw and SmackDown, but he's never on Raw. He's only going to be on Raw one time, and it doesn't look good when you don't have a world champion on the show, so they might need to take the championship off of him, whether that's Seth Rollins, whether that's somebody that wins the Money in the Bank, whether that's Drew McIntyre at Clash of the Castle. Roman's lighter schedule with him being world champion does not help. And the reason that the Roman title defense happened on SmackDown instead of Money in the Bank is because they already have their money for Money in the Bank because of the deal with Peacock. So putting Roman on the show, only thing that will probably change is the gates. That's it. Tessa Blanchard has been released by WoW. This doesn't come as a surprise to anyone at all. Tessa is her own worst enemy. Oh well, we'll keep it pushing. Fuck it. Tanahashi and Moxley were supposed to happen multiple times, but Tony Khan stopped it from happening mainly because he just wanted to have it here at. Well, not. You know what? He wanted to save it for a special show, but remember, we were supposed to get Punk versus Tanahashi at Forbidden Door, so we got the interim of Mox versus Tanahashi. NXT ratings drops this week. They did 612,000 with a .12 and the 18-49 demo. It is what it is. Reportedly, but it's getting more and more likely that this is true, that this is confirmed. Sasha Banks has been released from the WWE. Bro, this is man. Once again, nobody is bigger than the company, according to them. But we will dive into this more as we what our top story. Dynamite ratings fell tremendously. They lost almost 200,000 viewers. They brought in 761,000 viewers with a .28 and the 18-49 demo. That is down from last week's 939,000 viewership with the .34 and the 18-49 demo. But Tony Khan is still bragging despite the ratings crash. He says that they were number one overall in their time slots for each hour, and the show was tied for number one overall on Wednesday. So it's hard to judge shows if you're going just by the ratings. Another story that we will cover later in the show is the Vince McMahon hush money investigation scandal, whatever you want to call it. This is big because it also has led to him stepping down temporarily and Stephanie McMahon as a temporary CEO. So there's a lot to get in to dive into this, but we will we're gonna get into it. AEW was in LA about a week or two ago, and apparently they dropped the ball because the LA Times, one of the top newspapers in the United States, tried to get in contact with them and nobody picked up the phone. This is the LA Times. You're fucking up. Stop fucking up. Randy Orton will be having back surgery that was confirmed on SmackDown, so it looks like he will be out for the rest of the year. And this Sunday is Slammiversary. It's going to be a good show. I'm definitely going to watch it. Our match card for Slammiversary on the pre-show, we've got two matches. We got the Impact Digital Media Championship, Brian Meyers defending against Rich Swann. Also the Reverse Battles Royal. Y'all remember that. On the main show, the Impact Knockouts Tag Team Championships, as the Influence will be defending against Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie. A Monsters Ball match between Sami, Callihan, and Moose. A 10-man tag with Honor No More taking on the team of the Motor City Machine Guns, Frankie, Kazarian, Nick Aldis, and a to-be-announced, to-be-determined special star. My money's on Samoa Joe. Kind of hoping it's AJ Styles. The Impact World Tag Team Championship will be on the line. The Briscoes will be defending against the Good Brothers. We will have our first ever Queen of the Mountain match, as this will be for the Knockouts World Championship. It will be Tasha Steelz versus the champion versus Jordan Grace, Chelsea Green, Deonna Purrazzo, and Mia Yim. We'll have an Ultimate X match for the X Division Championship. It'll be Ace Austin, the champion, versus Kenny King, Mike Bailey, Trey Miguel, Jack Evans, and Alex Zane. And in the main event, the Impact World Championship will be on the line. Josh Alexander will be defending against Eric Young. We'll be right back. So, I don't know where that just came from. Monday Night Raw. They were going up against the NBA, and they knew that. So the first 2 hours of the show were good, and then the last hour was not good. So we open up with Miz TV with Paul Heyman, and essentially it was just a way to hype the championship match on Friday, which was good. Miz is good, Heyman is good. Riddle comes out, interrupts, says that he's going to beat Roman, same old stuff. Just nothing new. And Jimmy Uso has a match with Montez Ford. It looked like Uso was going to have to attack Riddle. Street Profits make the save. Yada yada yada. Jimmy Uso defeats Montez Ford. It's a good match, and we keep it pushing. Seth Rollins had an interview explaining his attack on Cody, and AJ attacks Seth. They have a Money in the Bank qualifying match later in the evening. Becky destroys Dana before their match. Asuka made the save. Becky starts walking to the back when, not even that. Becky had a promo talking about last time she was in Money in the Bank, she got screwed, and then she's walking to the back. Alexa Bliss comes out, and the last time actually they showed this, that Becky was in a Money in the Bank ladder match. She was climbing for the briefcase, and it was Alexa who knocked her off the ladder and took the briefcase. Look at that continuity. Alexa and Liv had a qualifying match against Nikki Ash and Doudrop, and Alexa and Liv won. This match was short because the women don't get time anymore, especially when it comes to these Money in the Bank qualifying matches. Ezekiel beat KO by countout because, KO lost his shit again. And then there's some crazy news. Elias will be on Raw next week. This should be interesting. MVP defeated Cedric Alexander. Seth Rollins beat AJ in a qualifying match for the Money in the Bank. It's a very good match. Ciampa attacked Riddle before their match, and then Ciampa loses the Riddle. I wish Riddle took on anybody but Ciampa. Ciampa goes from being a superstar legend in NXT to just being a guy on Raw. As for the Judgment Day, it ain't it. Nothing's changed. They still have bad promos. They're spooky, whatever. Rhea cut a promo on the screen against Bianca. Nothing of any consequence. And that's when the last. This is all part of the last hour. Chad Gable beat Mustafa Ali. Veer beat Ray. And the main event segment was a fucking pose down between Lashley and Austin Theory. A pose down. A pose down. And it just ended with Theory squirting baby oil in Lashley's face and then giving him a drop kick. Yeah. Raw was saved by the first 2 hours. So I'm not going to trash it. So it gets a fist. Over on Dynamite, we move closer and closer to the Forbidden Door. Jericho wins the hair versus hair match against Ortiz with a little help from Fuego del Sol, who we found out was Sammy Guevara, who looks like he's back with Jericho. Ortiz cuts his own hair, blood and guts. That's all you need to know. Somebody's going to die in this match. Wardlow beat 20 men. In an elimination match. Wardlow beat 20 men. Dan Lambert from the Skybox ordered Matt Hughes and Tyrone Woodley, who were both in the crowd, to attack Wardlow. And Wardlow's like, come on, dog, y'all better than that. So they fed him Mark Sterling, who got powerbomb. Will Ospreay beat Dax Hardwood in a beautiful match. A brawl breaks out with the United Empire, FTR, Roppongi Vice, Orange Cassidy returns, and he faces off against Will Ospreay. So we're clearly getting this match at Forbidden Door. Jon Moxley and Tanahashi face off. They have some words. Tanahashi doesn't really say much. And then a huge brawl breaks out with the Jericho Appreciation Society, who says that Ty, Conti, and Sami are now with the JAS. And then Lance Archer and Gucci Cook. It was just a giant fucking brawl, which still ends with Mox and Tanahashi, who the segment started with, standing tall. Miro defeated Ethan Page to move on to Forbidden Door for the Fatal 4-Way match in the All-Atlantic Championship. Toni Storm beat Britt Baker. Thank you. Thank God. I'm so happy. Thunder Rosa stops Jamie Hayter from cheating during that match, which is good. And we're going to get Rosa versus defending the championship against Toni Storm at Forbidden Door. Hangman Page wanted Okada for the championship. Okada is no longer the champion. Adam Cole doesn't having it because he says him and his boy Jay White are going to fight for the championship. Jay White shows up, attacks Hangman Page, and then says that he's not defending the championship versus Cole or Hangman Page. So we'll see what goes on there. And in the main event, the Young Bucks defeated the Jurassic Express in a ladder match to win the Tag Team Championships, becoming the first two-time AEW World Tag Team Champions. Christian finally turns on Jungle Boy. So this show gets a thumbs up. Only reason it doesn't get 2 thumbs up is just because the build to Forbidden Door has been a little bit weak. Over on our Impact corner, we had the Go Home show for Slammiversary. Listen, if you aren't watching Impact, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. The main event segment was a contract signing for the World Championship between Josh Alexander and Eric Young. And of course, like all contract signings, they ended in violence. So this one ended in violence. Sasha Steelz and Savannah Evans defeated Mia Yim and Jordan Grace. The Aces and Eights, Wes Bischoff and Gerald Briscoe returned with a little help from D'Lo Brown, as Honor No More is still taking out any and all challengers. D'Lo Brown had a beautiful Sky High. Nick Aldis was announced as the 4th member of Team Impact to take on Honor No More. There's still 1 member left, and Rosemary does not trust Taya Valkyrie. I mean, the last time these two were together, Taya tried to murder her husband. So, but once again, if you guys aren't watching Impact, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Over on SmackDown, the Tribal Chief returns. So, the show opens up with Mr. McMahon, comes down to the ring with the troll of all trolls, then Now Forever together, and then leaves. That's it. Business as usual. Then there was a Riddle promo hyping up the match for later in the evening. Pretty much the same thing he said on Raw, with added caveat that Randy Orton will be having back surgery. Madcap Moss wins the Last Laugh match. This was just a match. That was it. It was just a match. Corbin confronts McAfee finally after McAfee been trashing this man for so long. Maybe this will lead to a match with them two at maybe Money in the Bank or even SummerSlam. Natalya cut a promo on Ronda. The New Day defeated Jinder Shanky. Drew McIntyre and Sheamus are both just put into the Money in the Bank even after they both lost last week. Okay. Sami keeps convincing himself that everything's all good with the bloodline. We had another short women's qualifier as Raquel Rodriguez defeated Shayna Baszler. Lacey Evans was on commentary, and this was more about Lacey Evans. So currently in the women's match, we have Lacey Evans, Raquel Rodriguez, Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss. I feel like I'm missing somebody. I think Asuka. Max Dupree did not come out, but once again, Gunther We'll give Ricochet a rematch for the Intercontinental Championship next week. Roman Reigns defends and retains the Undisputed Championship over Matt Riddle. And, welp, break glass in case of emergency, because here comes the pain. Yes, that is right. Brock Lesnar is back, and he will be taking on Roman Reigns at SummerSlam in a last man standing match for the Undisputed Championship. This was not in the plans, but you figured with all these injuries, let's just make a phone call to Brock. And Brock takes out the entire bloodline. Things are going to get interesting. Over on Rampage, Jon Moxley defeated Dante Martin. Keith Lee and Swerve have some issues because of what happened at the Battle Royal, but they're confronted by Hobbs and Starks and says, y'all still haven't beaten us. The Gun Club and Max Caster win a squash over Bear Country and Leon Ruffin. Jade Cargill retains the TBS Championship over Willow Nightingale. They attack. Athena shows up, takes out Kiera Hogan with, the move isn't called the Eclipse anymore. I forget what the name is, but takes her out with her finisher. They attack her until Chris Lander comes out to make the save. And in the main event, Darby Allin defeats Bobby Fish in a solid match. Sting returns and they Pillmanize Bobby Fish. That was Rampage. Our matches of the week from Dominion, the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, Kazuchika Okada versus Jay White. From Raw, the Money in the Bank qualifier, AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. From Dynamite, Dax Harwood versus Will Ospreay. In the ladder match for the AEW World Tag Team Championships, Jurassic Express versus the Young Bucks. Over on SmackDown, the Undisputed Championship match, Roman Reigns versus Matt Riddle. And our star of the week, I'm going to give it to Will Ospreay. My man finally got a dub. And that's the weekend review. And we'll be right back with our top story, folks. All right, so this has been, to say the least, a very, very interesting year. I don't think that can be questioned. I don't think that can even be denied. This has been a very interesting year when it comes to professional wrestling. So I would like to take the time, take the opportunity to we've covered a lot of these stories, but we can go back, you know what I mean, and really just see where we are, how we've gotten here. So first things first, we'll start with Jeffrey Nero Hardy. Jeff Hardy has been arrested again for DUI. Not only was he arrested for a DUI, he was very, very intoxicated. It's not even like he was buzzed. And mind you, buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive drunk, don't drive buzzed. So he walked out on WWE, and he essentially didn't want to go back to rehab, or he felt like he was in the right place. All right. So Jeff was arrested, pulled over. He blew a 2.94. A 2.94. The police stopped him, and he appeared to be, in their words, in a stupor and confused. He displayed multiple signs of being impaired. He was Florida's BAC is 0.08. He blew a 2.94. Let that sink in. So his license was suspended. He was suspended from AEW without pay. Jeff Hardy could face jail time. If a person is convicted of a third DUI within 10 years in Florida, a judge is required to impose several penalties, which include mandatory jail time, years of probation. Here's what can happen to Jeff Hardy. Minimum 30 days in jail, but up to 5 years in prison. Up to 5 years of reporting probation. Minimum 10 years driver license revoked. Up to $5,000 in fine. A 90-day impoundment or immobilization of all vehicles owned by the driver. Mandatory placement of an ignition interlock device upon all vehicles owned. 50 hours of community service. Completion of a 21-hour DUI substance abuse course. Completion of a psychosocial evaluation to determine if substance abuse treatment is required. Completion of any recommended substance abuse treatments. That is a lot. And it is time to get Jeffrey Nero Hardy help. I guarantee you this. The Hardy Boys were probably supposed to win the tag team championships on Dynamite this past week. I'll guarantee it. But they had to call an audible because Jeff Hardy was once again impaired, driving drunk. And this is his third time. And we haven't seen it with Justin. We've seen it with Jey Uso as well. So the question is, what's next? Well, we need to see Jeff go through the legal system and really, really, really get some help. Get some help. He needs help. MJF issues with Tony Khan. MJF hasn't been on TV for, what's it been, 2-3 weeks now? And how did this start? Well, MJF is one of, if not the top draw in all of All Elite Wrestling. He is a fantastic heel. He is great on the mic. Very, very, very much underrated in the ring. He wants more money. And he wants to be paid like the top draw that he is. Now, when I last spoke about this, I compared it to a situation in the NFL. Terrell Owens was signed. He signed with the Philadelphia Eagles, right? Signed a contract. He kind of gave him a new contract, whatever. He outperformed that initial contract. Helped the Eagles get to the Super Bowl. Played on a broken, I think it was ankle. And rightfully so, he wanted a new contract. He wanted more money. He just went about it in the wrong way. That's essentially what's going on with MJF. Not about him going about it the wrong way, but more so that he had a contract, signed a new contract, which paid him more, and now he wants more money, with the main caveat being, why are you paying these ex-WWE guys who do not draw more than me more money? They don't pop a bigger rating. They don't bring in a higher demo. It's me. And Tony Khan's argument is that he would pay MJF when they sign a new TV deal. MJF is like, well, I don't have to wait till we sign a new TV deal. You're paying all of these other people. Why are you not paying me? So he cuts the work shoot promo.
You fucking mark!
The best videos today in wrestling. And now here we are. MJF is away. Don't know when he's coming back. Don't know what the situation is, but right now all things are quiet. All things are quiet on the Western Front. Big E, our lovable, big, mighty, men slapping man meat. Big E cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase contract. He was drafted to Raw, split up from the New Day once again, and he told Bobby Lashley that he was going to cash in his Money in the Bank contract and become the champion. Lashley was the WWE champion. He was defending the championship versus Randy Orton. This was September 13th-ish. Lashley won the match. And Big E said, yo, I'm cashing in. He cashes in and becomes WWE champion. After that, he had one of the weakest reigns coming out of a Money in the Bank win. This was supposed to put Big E over the moon, make him a star at the top, and to stay there. And he lost match after match after match. He lost a trios match. He lost his first two matches after becoming champion. He lost a trios match. And these were two matches on Raw. First, it was New Day versus the Bloodline. Lost that match. Lashley, and it was a great match. Lashley interfered, and somehow it wasn't a DQ because the ref watched Lashley murder everybody. Then later that night, it was Lashley, Roman, and Big E. Lost that match. He successfully defended the championship against Drew McIntyre. Then lost the champion versus champion match at Roman Reigns against Roman Reigns in Survivor Series. And he had a title defense against Austin Theory. Let that sink in. How did his reign end? Well, Roman Reigns, and we'll dive into this a little bit later as well. Actually, we'll probably dive into it right after this. Roman Reigns got COVID. Roman was supposed to defend the championship versus the Universal Championship versus Brock Lesnar. Roman has COVID, can't wrestle. They moved Brock into the Fatal 4-Way match, making it a 5-way match that was supposed to happen. Brock Lesnar wins, and Big E was immediately pushed back down the card, back into a tag team. In one of the weakest reigns. And then in a match against Sheamus and Rich Holland is delivering an overhead belly-to-belly suplex, and Big E lands right on the top of his head, fracturing his neck. He fractures a C1 vertebrae and a C6 vertebrae, but there are no ligament damage. It is no spinal cord damage. So he's good. He's not good, but he's coming back from injury. He's healing. And Big E, it just never clicked, and it's not his fault. Because once again, I say this all the time, you are only as good as you are booked. And he was booked to be weak. He was booked to be weak and then placed right back down the card. Roman Reigns has been a dominant champion. I will give them that. I will give him that. I will give the WWE that for finally figuring out what to do with Roman Reigns. That's all well and good. But hear me now. Him being champion isn't really helping. Roman got COVID, and this was when Brock Lesnar came back and Brock was actually over. Brock was amazing. Face Brock, that's still a badass, is great. Roman gets COVID. So what do? Well, you got to have Brock wrestle. They just placed Brock in the Fatal 4-Way at the Royal Rumble, making it a Fatal 5-Way. Brock Lesnar wins. I'm positive it was the Royal Rumble. Let me make sure. I don't think it was day one. It was day one. It was day one. Brock is placed into the Fatal 4-Way, making it a Fatal 5-Way, and wins the championship. Not only did that end Big E's reign, but it led to us getting the Universal and WWE Championship unification matches. Brock didn't need the win. Hell, Brock doesn't need the win now when he takes on Roman at SummerSlam. But in case of emergency, break glass. So the question is, where do we really go from here? Roman's a dominant champion, but can you see him losing? And the only people they've actually ever built up this year that you could even possibly think of beating him are Riddle, Randy, Drew McIntyre, and Bobby Lashley. Lashley's stuck on Raw with fucking Austin Theory. Drew will get a shot at Clash at the Castle, and Riddle just lost. Randy's injured. Who's left? Cody Rhodes, big story. Him and Brandy leaving AEW, leaving the company that he helped start, build, and create. That was major. That was big news. So the question was, what's next for Cody? Obviously, he was going back to the WWE to do one thing and do one thing only. And that was to win a world championship. We spent weeks upon weeks asking ourselves, well, Seth doesn't have a match at WrestleMania. Obviously, he was facing Cody. Cody returns. Great. And is immediately pushed as the top face in the company. And it was a nice change of pace from what Cody was doing in AEW. Cody goes for a three-peat and defeats Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, defeats him at Backlash, defeats him at Hell in a Cell. All things are great, but not so fast. See, right before the Hell in a Cell match, Cody and Seth Rollins got into a brawl on Raw. Cody partially tore his pec off the bone. Then while working out, tore it completely off the bone. So now Cody's injured. The top face, the guy that you built up to possibly, and I honestly believe this, to defeat Roman Reigns, is injured. Goes through with the Hell in a Cell match. Wins. And now he's out. And this was the perfect opportunity to turn Seth Rollins' face. But what do? They dive even deeper into the Seth Rollins rabbit hole. And this is an ongoing issue with the WWE in that they can't find a way to book top faces, multiple at the same time. With the exception of Cody, there was, I guess you can say, AJ, Riddle, Randy, Drew McIntyre. Randy's out. Riddle just lost. Lashley's stuck on Raw. Only guy that's left is Drew. Edge is probably a face when he comes back. But does that really mean anything? Because for months, he was a bad guy and he was shitting on the fans. And now it's all of a sudden, well, I got beat up by a heel, so I guess I have to be a good guy now. It doesn't work like that, sir. Tell the WWE that it doesn't work like that. Something that's not talked about. Stone Cold Steve Austin's final match. Nobody talks about this. It happened, and then we just forgot that Stone Cold Steve Austin had his first match since WrestleMania 19. Kevin Owens built the entire feud on his own. Stone Cold came back, y'all, and nobody talks about it. And the crazy thing is, it was fun and it was good and it was excellent. It was everything that we dreamed for, hoped for, wanted for, with the return of the Texas Rattlesnake. But nobody talks about it because there's just been so much going on that Stone Cold had his final match and it just flew by the wayside. Shout out to Kevin Owens, who did a phenomenal job of carrying this, making sure Stone Cold, I'm not going to say, was safe, because Stone Cold is a former professional wrestler. He knows what he's doing. He was the top star of the entire wrestling for a strong period. But Stone Cold came back, and we just don't even talk about it, man. It's like how Game of Thrones, when it was over, it just disappeared from the nerd lexicon. Just gone. I remember sitting home, right, watching. I think I was watching SmackDown. They were announcing some of the participants in the Women's Royal Rumble, and they're rattling off names. And something caught my eye. I was like, "This is not right. This is what? Hold on, wait, what?" I rewinded it. Mickie James will be in the Royal Rumble. What? At the time of that announcement, Mickie James was the Impact Knockouts champion, putting on just great shows and great matches. And when they said it on TV, they even mentioned that she was the Impact Women's Champion. They said Women's Champion. I don't think they said Knockouts Champion. So, did the WWE open up their own forbidden door? Because remember, Mickie was part of those large releases, and she had her things sent to her in a trash bag. In a trash bag, everybody. So Mickie was in the Royal Rumble. And that was probably the most intrigue I had for the Women's Royal Rumble in a very, very long time. I mean, I knew Ronda was going to be, and I knew Ronda was going to win, but Mickie James, one of my favorites, was in the Royal Rumble. And she looked good, because it's Mickie James. When does she not look good in the ring and out of the ring? She got her revenge on Michelle McCool, eliminating her, because the Mickie James storyline we all know was fucking horrible. But now the question is, can the WWE do this again? And Slammiversary is tomorrow, folks. Or today, whenever you're listening to this. Team Impact needs a fifth member. I mean, my money's on Samoa Joe, but Robert Roode, AJ Styles, I don't know. But Mickie James being in the Royal Rumble, an individual from another company, a rival company, being in the Royal Rumble was a big deal. And of course, probably our two biggest stories. We'll start with Sasha and Naomi walking out. Now, we had a recent update, but Sasha and Naomi came in earlier today, right? We're told that they would be in a 6-pack challenge, and that Naomi will win, and that she would take on Bianca Belair at Hell in a Cell, and Sasha would later face Ronda Rousey at, I guess, Money in the Bank. And they asked, well, what about our our tag team championships. What's going on with our reign? Oh, nothing's going to happen with them. They'll just be ornaments, decorative. Sasha was quite upset with this. Probably Naomi too. And they talked, and it was not going to be changed. So Sasha and Naomi walked out. They left. They just walked out of the building. The WWE then had the nerve to go and say that they were unprofessional, that we wanted to give you this six-pack challenge, and we feel bad for not giving you what was advertised. Mind you, WWE always does that. So Sasha and Naomi are gone, and we haven't heard from them since. There's been like a buzz here and there on social media, and they tried to play it that the locker room should be upset with Sasha and Naomi, because why would you walk out? You two are getting championship matches, but we're the tag team champions. We're going to lose in our reign, and us as wrestlers are going to be devalued. They should be getting applauded for standing up for themselves and telling Vince, this is fucking stupid. And then not only that, you put us together, because that's apparently what the women's tag team division is just two random people put together. And there are no teams. Then they have the nerve to announce a tag team tournament. With what teams? And there's been nothing about the tag team championships, because they're vacated. Not only that, come to find out this week that it happened a couple weeks ago, Sasha Banks has been released from the WWE. Not only has Sasha Banks been released, they think she's replaceable. They think her as a character can be replaced, and that she's just playing a role, and that they can put anybody in there. I said on the Friday Night Era show last night that look at the woman that they're bringing in, look at the difference in skill between the current crop of NXT women and the main roster women. Not all the NXT women. We're excluding Casey, Alba Fire, Kaden, Io Shirai. Who am I missing? Roxanne Perez. We're including the obvious ones with actual talent, skill, and wrestling ability. You know what I mean? But the woman they're bringing in now, you're just going to learn the WWE system. So they think they can just take one of these girls and just put them into the Sasha Banks role. Okay, we'll see. But right now, even though they haven't confirmed it, but it's pretty much been confirmed, Sasha Banks is no longer in the WWE. Let that sink in. That is absolutely absurd. And lastly, in a bombshell, this McMahon is being investigated. So, Vince McMahon had a consensual relationship with a paralegal. That's not why he's being investigated. He paid her $3 million. Made her sign an NDA. That's not why he's being investigated. Morally, you may not like it. He's being investigated because after they started sleeping together, her salary went from $100,000 to $200,000. Quid pro quo, which you can't do. That's why he's being investigated. And the more details come out that, she was used as a plaything given to scum of the earth, John Laurinaitis. And a lot of the women don't like him, don't want to interact with him. And he'll be the scapegoat because he'll be the one that's going to get fired. Comes out in the New York Times. So who leaks this story? It had to be someone on the board. Not only that, scumbag Brad Meltzer. No, I'm sorry, not Brad Meltzer. Not the comic book writer. I'm sorry. Brad Shepard docks the paralegal. And we all know Brad Shepard's trash. But wait, there's more. Not only that, Wake Up Friday, Vince McMahon is temporarily stepping down as part of the investigation, and they're cooperating. So Vince steps down. Stephanie McMahon, who stepped away from the company, who they tried to bash on her way out to make her not look good, is now the CEO, the acting CEO and chairwoman of the board. She's in charge. But is she in charge, or is it just a ploy, a face play? Because if she was really in charge, we all know she doesn't like Kevin Dunn. Nobody likes Kevin Dunn. She will fire Kevin Dunn. She would change NXT 2.0. So now Stephanie's in charge, and they picked her because it shows that Vince has no objective of leaving, that he's not leaving, that he's staying right here. And he can't be voted out. He can't be fired. So it's an interesting Friday night. Vince McMahon has stepped down, and Stephanie McMahon is the acting CEO. There's an investigation. Nick Khan has nothing to do with this. And we've seen him gain more and more and more and more power. Does this put a ratchet into his plans? Who knows? But tell me what you guys think. Is there anything else that I missed that I should have gone over? It's wild, y'all. It is wild. As always, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're checking us out on YouTube, I appreciate it. Next week, next time, we'll be having our Forbidden Door preview, making our predictions. You know how we do. And then stay tuned for the Money in the Bank roundtable discussion I'm going to have with a few folks. We're just going to be shooting the shit about Money in the Bank. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. As always, the socials, the 215 on Twitter, Charismatic_Creations52 on Instagram, and Charismatic Creations on Facebook, Tumblr, and YouTube. Don't forget to check out Charismatic Gaming and Charismatic Cards, soon to be Charismatic Gaming on YouTube. And as always, Xylee, Wendy Chill, my baby, Gigi Dolan, get better. Oh, God. Yo, I would kill for Gigi Dolan. I'd kill for her. Y'all don't even know how much I love this fucking woman, dog. Oh my God. Anyway, Zaya, Wendy, and Gigi, holla at your boy. Peace.